the Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 5:30 thing.
Good. That kind of gives everybody a break.
Yeah. Yesterday they were doing interviews for a position that Becca has opened. And towards the end, Becca wanted to pull the fire alarm because she's tired and stressed, and the applicant was just making no sense. And she's so that's when Becca's about to hurt someone, is when we know we've reached the limit.
Yeah. What is that position?
Senior buyer. So with the ESSER funds, we moved Lisa to manage the 19 million.
How are you?
Edna will continue to do the school and manage our existing 2.5 that we get from the feds, plus state comp ed, which is another 900,000. So we needed someone else to keep up with the paperwork. So Lisa's going over, and she's kind of our Edna in training. So when Edna moves on, we have someone. So we have that position open. Thank you.
Oh, and that'll help, yeah. You'll know exactly.
Hey, where's that carta? That other one.
Do we have the?
Yeah.
Do we have the pens?
I have some in my.
Okay.
Where do I want it?
1, 2, 3, 4. Bring me 5 just to be safe. Okay. Let me see. Oh, here it is.
Where is Devin going? What's Devin gonna do?
So Devin's dream is to live in the big city. So she was recruited by a charter school district in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So she's going to be their public information officer. So we brought her in, and she did a good job for us.
Yeah.
And really good with the social media stuff, and then she took off on us. So Ivan was working as, he was our graphics guy, but he just graduated from Tech with his bachelor's in communication and graphic arts. So next man up. So we're gonna see how he can manage the role, and then if he needs help, we'll look at some interns with Tech and kind of see how that goes. But Ivan's the next man up. Anyway, I check everyone's grammar, so Ivan's my new best
Yeah,
friend.
he did all our translating here at the launch.
Yes, yeah, he does translations too, so he's proficient.
Yeah, that's great.
You know what, if she doesn't show up, let's go ahead and get started. If she doesn't show up, we'll pass the citizen comment. We'll just be done at that point.
Okay, do you want to go ahead and start
Yeah.
with yours?
Let's just go ahead and let's go ahead and get the meeting started, and then we'll recess the meeting, go out, and then come back in. And
Okay. It's 6:04, and at this time, we'll call this board meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Everyone is present. I'm not sure if Tyler's coming. Did you get anything?
Tyler notified us that he will not be able to attend. He has some things at home, and then Mr. Soto will not be able to attend because of a house fire in one of our neighboring communities.
So we do have Mr. Rick Garcia Dr. Rick Garcia that's going to do the invocation, and then we have Amber that's going to do the pledge for us.
If you'll bow your heads. Father God, we want to come before you right now, dear God, just thanking you, Lord, for this opportunity to come and do the work of the district, Father. We ask that you give us insight, Father, direction, and lead us and guide us in the way that you see as appropriate, Father. Just thank you, Lord, for this opportunity and the people that are doing the work of this district, Father. We ask that you be with us in this gathering, Father. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Would you stand with me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Dr. Sanchez?
All right, do we have any citizen comments? None? Okay. All right, if I can ask for a point of personal privilege to recess the meeting for a moment?
Yes.
If I can ask folks to join me outside? the board, and anyone else who's interested.
did. Very cool. You did a good job.
Put my CTE skills to work there, so.
Very.
But no, the H2 was real sad that we couldn't keep it. And I'm like, well, you and I will build one.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna have to build another one.
Thank you. I guess we can call the meeting back to order. No. I couldn't fit it in there, so we had to do it outside.
Okay, let's get back to order. Dr. Sanchez?
Okay. I have a few presentations. The first is recognition for outstanding achievement. We have the TASSP, which is the Texas Association of Secondary School Principals, and for Region 17, the High School Assistant Principal of the Year is our very own Misty McClure for Region 17, so we can have her come up. And now that we're back in session here, we always take a picture as we hand an award, so if I can get the board to come up front, we'll be your background. I want you to hand that. You know you'll get one for Region 17, and then Oh. Yes. I'd also like to recognize our Teachers of the Year. The great honor of the Teacher of the Year is we started a new tradition a few years ago where our elementary and then secondary Teachers of the Year give a speech at convocation and some words of inspiration. And so I'll announce and read a little bit about our Teachers of the Year, and I'll invite them up as I read our first Teacher of the Year from elementary is Ray Leach. She graduated from Wayland Baptist University in 2009. She's been with PISD for 12 years, and she makes sure our elementary kids are healthy. So we'd like to thank her for her contributions to our students. And in the bond design, we have polished concrete, and there's a reason. I remember my first year here, I was asked if we could take the carpet out of the gym because it was just not conducive to what they wanted to do in there. And after we saw how good that looked, well, why not, when we build the new schools, just go with it everywhere? But if she's here, we'd love to have her come up front. Our middle school Teacher of the Year is Fei Lee. She's been with PISD for 3 years. She works with our exceptional education students at Coronado Middle School, and I believe she's here, so if she'll come on up. Brandy Cook was not able to be here, but I do want to read her information. So Brandy Cook is our high school Teacher of the Year. She earned her bachelor's degree in exercise and sports science and a master's degree in sports administration and management and higher education administration from Wayland Baptist University. She teaches English at PHS and has been with us for 3 years and is a valued asset to our district. Something exciting with Ms. Cook, next year, she won't be teaching English, but she will begin our career and technical education program in health sciences. And so that bachelor's degree in exercise sports science and master's degree in sports administration and management, she'll put it to full use. She'll also be working with our early college high school students as well. And so she wasn't able to join us here tonight, but I did want to mention her. And so we can please give her a round of applause. And if I can get both Ms. Lee and Ms. Leach to come up forward with the board, we'd love to get a picture. No, you still have to do a speech.
We'll give you till August too, and you can make it at the next.
For you to give a speech.
All right, next I would like to introduce some new members to our leadership team and our teaching and learning team. I'll begin with our teaching and learning team. We have a former Teacher of the Year who was one of the first to give a speech, Ms. Gonzalez, who will now join the Language Acquisition Department as an instructional coach. So I'll let Ms. Sanchez and Ms. Gonzalez come forward, and Ms. Sanchez can tell us about her. That's rough.
It's perfect for Paulina because I'm kind of tall now. This is Paulina Gonzalez, and she is joining our team, and I just wanted to share a little bit of information. So once you get to know her, you'll love her. Everybody loves Paulina. Paulina is one of those educators that when you go into her classroom, you come out and you're like, oh, I want to be like Paulina. The kids love her, the parents love her, and our team. I mean, everybody, she just has that magnetic personality. But she'll tell you she's shy, but once you get to know her, she's not shy. Paulina graduated from Lubbock Christian. She's worked for the district for 16 years. She served on the district leadership team, on campus leadership teams, and also has been a grade level leader. And for our bilingual teachers, whenever we have a teacher that is interested in becoming a bilingual teacher or is wanting to see somebody, Paulina always comes to mind. They're like, they have to go see Paulina. And they come out just like I did when I first went into her room, and I'm like, oh, I want to be just like that. So she is just a phenomenal teacher. She was nominated as the Teacher of the Year for her campus in 2015, and then also in 2019. She was the Campus Teacher of the Year and also the District Teacher of the Year for elementary. And she also served as a guest speaker for Lubbock Christian to discuss bilingual and dual language programs. So she's an excellent addition to our team. We're super excited to everything that she'll bring. And she's short just like me because Anita and Christina are a lot taller than me. So I'll have a buddy in the trenches with me. And most importantly, I told her I would mention this because I finally saw Torchy's in Lubbock. The other day, she loves Torchy's tacos, which that's a plus. And then also chocolate. So anything chocolate. And she's currently one of our summer school bilingual teachers. So she's just, I'm telling you, she's just one of those educators that when you, if you ever have the opportunity to work with Paulina, you want to be just like Paulina. So.
That's too nice.
I don't know if you wanted to. You do.
You know what? I was gonna tell your wife, I didn't get a gold coin when I got my award.
Those are brand new. We're gonna get a picture because
Oh,
it's
this
more
is
interview, so we're gonna get a picture of all y'all. That's your challenge point, because
Okay.
y'all are up for the challenge.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, next we have two new assistant principals that will be joining the team. One as a intern for a year, the other as our, we're still kind of, moving people around as kind of happens during the summer since we had a elementary assistant principal take a position in Wiley. So Mr. LaFrance, we wish him a lot of success at Wiley Middle School. So elementary kids, they love you and they're cuddly. Middle school kids, they love you too. So I was a middle school principal, I can say that. See Mr. Kellum smiling real big now that he's going from middle school to elementary. So we wish him a lot of success. So, but we do have two additions to our team. And so first I'd like to introduce Ms. Megan Biggs. I saw her, she's here with us. Ms. Biggs interviewed exceptionally well. We ask a list of really difficult questions. And we ask everything from bilingual education, ESL, general education, general administration, some communication, discipline, district initiatives, working with staff that are brand new, working with staff that have years of experience. And what was very impressive was Miss Biggs' ability to weave her experiences at Edgemere, College Hill, and La Mesa all together as she answered her questions. And so very impressive, impressed the committee, and so we're happy to have her join the team. So if you'll come up, I have a challenge coin for you as well.
Yes, thank you so much.
Next, joining our administrative team is Miss Amanda Aycock, and I will tell you, her interview was one where, when you interview people, there are things that stand out about the interview, and she made me laugh throughout the entire interview. And I don't know Miss Aycock that well, but from what I've heard since, that's kind of what she does. And so she's really good at putting a smile on people's faces. As she answered her questions, again, you know, there are those things that stand out. Always with a smile, always very positive, and everything began and ended with for students and for students. And when you're listening for what an interviewee brings to the table, is it about them or is it about the work? Is it about where they want to go in their path, or is it about supporting the teachers and the kids and getting them along their path? And I have to say that Ms. Aycock's interview was all about supporting teachers, getting them to where they feel supported, where they feel heard out, where even on the roughest of days, they know there's someone there who supports them. And then about students, everything was about their success, seeing them smile. And I will tell you the funniest moment in the interview was when she disclosed something, which I won't, and she said that her husband told her not to say that, but at that point she'd already said it. And so I will have to say that kind of sealed the deal, that she was the right person for the job. She was just very genuine. And again, very happy to have her join the administrative team, so. If we can get all three of y'all up. If we can get y'all all up. Now, you may have noticed that Devin isn't here, who is our public information officer, or was our public information officer as of 4 o'clock today. She was recruited by a school district in the metro area, Dallas metro area, so she will become the public information officer in the metro area soon. I lived there for 2 years, and after that traffic, I love to visit Dallas, but I do not want to live there anymore. So maybe she'll come back. But I also want to mention that our new public information officer is Ivan. And so. So I will tell you about Ivan. He criticized the design of the convocation T-shirt I designed last year. He told me it looked like you know, the T-shirts that you wear if you're in a correctional institution. So what I get from Ivan is a lot of honesty. Devin goes, oh, no, it was all right. So anyway, so when you look at the convocation T-shirts this year, Ivan designed them, and they're beautiful. They really are. Our theme going into next year is one passion, one purpose. As we're merging schools from 6 to 3, as we're merging from 2 middle schools to a 5-6 to a 7-8 over this next year, one passion, one purpose speaks to it. But Ivan did a good job designing the shirt, and he handles a lot of our graphic work, and he helped us with the majority of our translations during the bond as well. So if you're wondering who did all of that work, some of our admin assistants here in the office did, but Ivan did a whole lot of it. And so real proud to have him in that role, one of our local kids and a tech graduate. So I'm going to give him a challenge coin because he's up. He better be up to the challenge because there's a lot of information that we have coming out as these schools start going up. You can see some of the renderings in the back that we have of College Hill and Thunderbird. So if you'll give him a round of applause.
Dr. Sanchez. Dr. Sanchez, this is a proud moment for me. I was his second grade teacher.
Oh, really? You were a second grade teacher? When you were 18, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That was, I think the dinosaurs were like roaming the earth. Long time ago.
That was really neat. I did not know
Very
that.
proud.
Wow. All right.
I'd like to take this moment also to congratulate Dr. Sanchez. I believe last week he went to his first, I guess you would say, interview for the nomination that we did for Superintendent of the Year. And he did get a call back that he was their #1 selected. I did receive an email from one of the local interviewees and said that without a doubt they were blown away, and there was no competition when it came to after they interviewed Dr. Sanchez, and they felt that he was the best choice that Region 17 could pick for this year. So now he's got another round to go, so congratulations on being nominated for another step to making it closer for Superintendent of the Year.
Thank you. Just real briefly, the Region 17 Superintendent of the Year Award isn't a superintendent award, it's a Team of 8 award. It's the board and the superintendent working together, and the superintendent is only as effective as he or she and the Team of 8 can be. And if the Team of 8 is effective, the superintendent's effective. If the Team of 8 isn't effective, the superintendent and the district aren't successful. And with this Team of 8, we have a bond. We have new schools coming up for the first time in 40 years. We're updating our existing facilities, adding a turf softball field, a new baseball stadium will be coming soon, and a new field for the band to use, as well as others at the high school that will be turfed and lit as well. We're doing a little bit of facelift work at the stadium as well. And we've updated our fleet for students. They have Suburbans now, and even the old rusty vans, we painted the roofs on them so they're not rusty anymore. You wouldn't recognize them. They look good. We have a police department in place. We've updated our weight facility at the field house. Honored, of course, Coach Bill as we did all that work too. And there's a lot of stuff I'm leaving off. Oh, my favorite is we matched the blue at the high school. So if you drive by the high school, it's all the same color blue, and it looks really good. And like I said, there's a lot more to come. But we're very excited with what we've accomplished. And it's not what I accomplished, it's what we accomplished as a district, as a team. And superintendent can bring whatever he wants to the board, but unless the people in operations, the people in finance can make a way for it to work and the board believes in us to pull it off, it doesn't happen. And with personnel management, again, you have to have great people in teaching and learning, as well as in our human resource office. Otherwise, we don't bring the type of people before our students that our students deserve. And our educators are heroic educators. Other places were afraid of their COVID dip, but our COVID dip was a lot slighter than what other places experienced, and a lot of that credit goes to the exceptional staff and our teaching and learning team and the support that they receive. So again, the recognition isn't for one person, it's for the team of 8, and then for the team that supports the team of 8, our assistant superintendent, chiefs, directors, our office personnel, our operations division, our principals, teachers, assistant principals, paraprofessionals in the classroom, and everyone from transportation to food service and all those in between. Everyone makes the district successful. So the recognition is a recognition of the superintendent of the year is a recognition for the district, not for a person. And I just want to, again, thank the board for their nomination, but the recognition is really for the district. So thank you. Okay, getting on with our district's business, we do have a presentation, which is our counselor presentation, and Ms. Salazar will be presenting that, and I'll give you context. At the end of each year, there's an opportunity to evaluate where we can be better. You're a little taller than the short ladies that were up here, so.
That's good.
So as we're taking a look at next year, each year, we want to learn lessons off of what we did the year before. And so the presentation will talk to you some about some of the lessons, some of our reflection, and some of the direction that we're taking going into this next school year that will be very positive. A lot of what you'll see is still in progress because we're still, we have this year to run like as is. But we also have to prepare for the 5, 6, 7, 8, a course catalog for the 5, 6, a course catalog for the 7, 8, what prereq courses we'll have for early college high school, what high school courses we'll have in the 7, 8. And that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. We have enrollment processes, we have scheduling processes, there's a lot of exciting stuff, but it all starts with this. And so I'll turn it over to Ms. Salazar.
Yeah, so thank you for the opportunity to visit with you this evening. I'm going to try to get it on the screen behind you.
Okay. We have one here, so. Yeah.
Okay. That prepares me. Okay, so thank you for the opportunity to visit with you this evening. We are excited about this update. I know a lot of times, and especially in the recent year or two, we've talked a lot about social, emotional, and trauma-informed care when it comes to counseling in the counseling department. This is a little bit more focused on the academic end of their job, which, if you understand school counseling and TEA, that is a large portion of what they do. And so I'm excited to bring this to you so that we can all kind of understand where we're going, where we're moving, and what that direction looks like. Just as a quick recap, our staffing for counselors at every elementary, we have one. This will change as we move to the bond also. This is just current and moving into next year. We have one counselor per campus at the elementary schools. Next year, we'll have one counselor split, College Hill and Highland. The other 4 will have one counselor each. And they average about 363 kids. That is basically, as of May 21st, I took the enrollment for every campus, divided it by 6. So that's where it came up with 363. We have one counselor per middle school campus. They have about 600. If you look at the enrollment from last year and the year before, and just kind of over the course of the year coming from PEAMS, they've ranged from 580 to 630. So that's kind of where I came up with 600. 4 counselors at PHS. They had an average of 1,300. They were a little more year before last, and we dropped a little bit this year, so 1,300 is kind of a round figure there. And then we have one counselor at ASH, 65 to 70 students last year. They can have up to 80 students. And just a year ago, we added the surge population so that JJ is helping us serve those students in surge as well. So that's just kind of a breakdown of our campus counselors. We also have 2 counselors in our student support services office. They service our special education, our exceptional education students who have qualified for counseling under their IEP or within their IEP. And they are based here in the Education Center because they service students on every campus. Moving forward, next year, we will actually also be working with the academic advisor, I think is the
Yes,
title,
academic
for the
advisor.
Plainview Collegiate High School. We'll be working with her as well for the students who are attending Plainview Collegiate High School in this area, the academic area for those students. So that's a little bit about the staff, just so you know who we're talking about when we are talking about these activities. So when late March, early April, we kind of came up with Dr. Sanchez and a group of us just by some feedback we had from community and from staff and from actually the counseling cohort. We came up with several topics that we really needed to address. We've narrowed those tonight to 5 topics. We have more presentations coming to you in the future with some additional updates that we're still working on, but we wanted to talk to you about 5 of those tonight. So topic number 1 was the elimination of the freshman counselor at PHS. Each high school counselor will take a portion of the total population, and we will divide that by 4, 9 through 12th grade. There will be a variance in size of no more than 5% over the next 4 years. So what we did was we took the enrollment, literally enrollment lists, including names of students that were in 8th through 11th grade last year, and we divided that as evenly as we could by 4. And that's where we came up with the division for the next 4 years. Then we will reevaluate and we will begin to redivide, is that a word? Divide again, I have an English degree. Divide again those numbers in 4 years, okay? So that's kind of how we came up with the process. So that you know, this is what it looks like. We have Valinda Parker will have students with the last names A through D. Kaylee Sterner will have last names E through LE. Robin Sweeney, LI through RA. And Andrea Morales, RE through Z. So Andrea was our freshman counselor. As a part of this process, we're also redoing the counselor suite downstairs. So Andrea will be moving downstairs, and we have the turned in all of the work orders, and they're working hard to create kind of what was a records room in that counselor suite into the 4th office. So we've worked with the registrar and the attendance clerk, and we're moving some stuff down in that area for her to move into that office and those records to be moved right across the hall. So everyone will be in one location downstairs, all within one counselor suite.
And the reason that this is an important piece is now you have the same counselor from your freshman year through your senior year. So they really get to know who you are. And the division among the 4 is a little lighter. If you take the current class, if you had one counselor who was going to have this large class that just went from 8th grade to 9th grade by him or herself, that's a whole lot of kids, and a whole lot of kids who need a whole lot of support. Your freshman year, you need a lot of support. So this makes sense in that all of the counselors are all supporting freshmen, but they also have all of the excitement associated with supporting seniors, too. You get to see them all graduate, kind of get to see them from beginning to end. So we look forward to this over the next 4 years.
And what's really nice at a high school, I was a high school counselor for 10 years, and so I can speak boldly to this. What's nice at a high school, I was the only counselor at the campus I was at. It was a 3A school, not a 5A school. It's nice to have a team, because when one of them hears or sees something from TEA, or when I push something out to them, or when we go to a training, they pick things up from one another and they're able to work with one another. Also, this last year, we had all 4 of them out with COVID at some point. And so they were able to step in and work with one another. So when you have 1,300 kids, it's nice to have that support and to be able to work back and forth in some of those areas that way. But this way, like Dr. Sanchez said, Andrea won't be only focused on incoming freshmen and building those graduation plans. She will know all of that all the way through. The same thing with the other 3. They will be working with freshmen as well. So it is a good way to address the team approach at high school. Okay, the second topic was the creation of a process by which schedule changes are approved by parents to ensure a signature and clear communication exists between home and school. We also had a separate one, but they really are very much one and the same, a plan to ensure no student changes his or her schedule without approval from a parent or legal guardian, and that would be evidenced by a signature. We've gone a step further actually with this plan, and it will not be just evidenced by a signature, but it will be a signature in person or by talking to the parent over the phone. So we've taken that even a step further for next year. So the middle school process is what you see in front of you. This has not changed. This is the same as it has been for the last several years. When I was at Coronado several years ago, this is the same process we followed. Students have the first week of school to make schedule change requests. This is the schedule change form on the the right side of the screen. And so we've made few updates here and there, but it's the same process in general. You will see that the schedule change request form must be signed by it says necessary program personnel. What that means is if it's fine arts, a lot of times in middle school, a student starts out in band and then they decide they don't want band, or they don't have the instrument, or maybe they're not in the choir that they wanted to be in when they get to the upper grades and try out for those things. So we may have schedule changes from fine arts. We may have schedule change from athletics. They want out of athletics. Or maybe they've sustained an injury where they're not going to be able to do anything for the rest of the year, and so they are moved. So it does say band, choir, or other. That is also, I kind of skipped to the bottom, bullet right there. That also refers to disciplinary matters. So if we have a disciplinary situation, or if we have a stay-away agreement between families for their students to be moved away from one another, then that is where the other might come in there. And that would be an assistant principal with disciplinary situation would sign. Athletics, band, choir. But then also, we have to have the parent's signature. If we do not, we can send that home with the kid and with the student and have the parent sign that. However, we want the parent to sign it in person. So either come up for a meeting and sign it in person, which if you go back to the disciplinary situation, the parent's probably going to be at the school, especially if it's a stay-away agreement. If it is not in person, then it could be by contact over the telephone, and then we send the stay-away agreement home for the signature. So as long as we have had contact with the parent and then the parent sign that, that is what we're looking for on the schedule change.
And the reason we took this step was just to make sure that someone didn't have their older brother or older sister or someone else sign it and turn it in. We really want to be sure that the parent is aware and knowledgeable. Not that that would ever happen, but just in case, so it doesn't happen.
The next slide is the high school schedule change process. This is somewhat new. So we've had a schedule change process, but there has not been a paper process for this. The process has typically been the student has come in and we have tracked the data. When they've come in the last 2 years, we've tracked data for when students have requested appointments with counselors or if counselors have called them in. We've tracked the data for the reason, and the counselors have notes in a guidance tab in Skyward. But there has not been a paper trail where we have had a parent's signature. So that's what we're adding. And you can see this looks very much the same as the middle school form. It is a half sheet of paper instead of a whole sheet of paper. Instead of listing their full schedule, we ask them to discuss the situation or the changes that they are requesting. And then we do have athletics, fine arts, and other listed there, parent and guardian signature. Now, one of the things that you will notice if you look at the third bullet is that it says directors and/or coaches shall speak with parents regarding a change in their students' enrollment in the program prior to signing the schedule change request. So many times it would get to the counselor, not many times, sometimes it would get to the counselor, and the counselor hadn't been told about any of the changes yet. And the kid was saying, no, I'm supposed to get out. And so the counselor had to call the director or the coach or something and say, hey, is this really going on? And the parent may not have been contacted. Well, if the counselor called the parent, she may or may not have known of the full situation. So we are going to have the director or the coach contact the parent, and they will have to notify the counselor via email. That email can then be attached to the schedule change form. The parent will be in contact either, again, in person or over the telephone with the student and the parent. The student goes home for a signature and comes back. So same process, we just add that little one there about them contacting the parent first if there's a schedule change. It's a little more, electives get a little more serious at high school because it's part of their graduation plan and their program of study.
Right, and the reason it's an important piece is if you're in band and you're using that for your physical education credit and you want out halfway through, there are implications, and it really needs to be a pretty tough situation before this happens. But the band director, I mean, the parent does deserve an explanation from us, band director, coach, as to why this is occurring. It shouldn't be, all right, counselor, you get to make that phone call, good luck, let me know how it goes. I mean, we're all in this together, and if you're the coach or you're the director, you should make the first contact. Not to say it doesn't happen all the time, but this is to make sure that the expectation is there that we're all on the same team, we're all gonna have the conversation, we're all gonna look at it, but we have to make sure that it's in the best interest of the student too, that they're not losing credit unnecessarily. So this gets us all visiting about it because we're all signing off on it.
That's right. We do have students, we don't really have to try to push our CTE programs. They push themselves because they're so successful. But we do have an opportunity for students to graduate on a multidisciplinary track. And that's still the same thing as graduating with a different endorsement. But that does not include necessarily a CTE course. So it's the same way. If we have a student wanting to get out of a fine arts class, that could impact their graduation program. And so again, like Dr. Sanchez said, we're all on the same page. Can't just get them out without making sure they can still complete that program for graduation. Okay, the next one, the creation of an updated course catalog in English and Spanish, readily available in paper and electronically, that includes each of the things listed there. Graduation criteria, specialized courses for exceptional education and English language learners, course variety, clear course descriptions, weights for each course, Plainview Collegiate High School courses, CTE courses and certification options, and required courses for each grade level. So this has been available at high school. Our fault is that we have not communicated the availability of that. So that is really where we're placing our push at high school level. This has been available for high school. You can actually go to the website, the district website. You can go to the families tab, and then you can go to families. I think I wrote it down because if I'm not looking at it, Student Handbook Code of Conduct. And it's right, it's the third thing listed on that page, and it's been there, but who knew it was there, right? I mean, even Dr. Sanchez, when I first told him. So it's just something that's kind of shown up. We use Zello, is a program we use for scheduling and pre-registration. It's also the program we use for our graduation plans. So that is where the information comes from. It's taken straight from that. It does provide all of this information. It even tells you which high school offers which courses. So if there's courses that Ash does not offer, it even says that in that course guide. So all of that's available, and it is online, and it's already there. We have not communicated that. So that's what we will really be working on this year with high school. Middle school has had a course guide, but let me tell you, I think it said 16, 17 on the website. So it has been updated, and not only did we update that, but I told the middle schools, the counselors and the registrars, I want the format of that to look just like the format of the high school one. So when parents look at the one at middle school and then they go to high school, it's the same format. They're used to looking at something. We're just moving from middle school to high school. So not only did we update the courses, but we updated the format as well. And kudos to a couple of a registrar and a counselor for really putting forth a lot of effort in getting that taken care of.
And the big piece in this that we want to be sure as we transition to 5, 6, 7, 8, we really want to, we have kids that currently take algebra in 8th grade, but what we're looking at as we transition to 5, 6, 7, and 8, 5th grade math will be 5th grade math, but 6th grade math, if you're going to take algebra in 8th grade, will be 6, 7 math. 6th grade will be 7, 8 math, so then 8th grade will truly be algebra and you'll have covered the content. So right now we're doing our best to cram it all in. Well, this gives us an opportunity as we're re-envisioning things to build those courses right. Also, if you're going to participate in the collegiate high school, you're going to have to write at a different level your freshman year. So we're also looking at the type of language courses that you'll need to be able to pass to be prepared for the type of writing that you're going to have to do at the collegiate level. What's also exciting is we're looking at pushing down some level 1 career and technology ed courses into the 7-8. If we can do that, that frees up more space for them in high school to take the level 3 and 4 courses, which are the more advanced career and tech ed courses. So it also opens up, freeing up their schedule. The thing that isn't mentioned here, but that we've had a lot of conversation about, is really eliminating the proliferation of free blocks. Kids need to take courses. They need to be in our advanced career and technical education courses where they're not just getting, credit, but they're also acquiring skills that will help them beyond what they currently, do. They want to go and pursue a certain avenue. Well, it doesn't hurt to have other avenues that you're aware of, just in case in midlife you change course. So this is, there's a lot that we're going to bring forward from this.
And as you can see, just to piggyback off of what Dr. Sanchez was talking about, it says the middle school course guide will be updated each spring of the following year as master schedule is set. So as we are determining those courses, as we continue to have those discussions and make sure we get things in place for early college, high school, and pushing that down into those lower grades, we will continue to update that each year. And those updates will happen in the spring, and then will be posted onto the website when they're made for the following year. The high school course guide will be updated as information is fed from Skyward. So as soon as we decide which courses we want to offer, PEAMS offers a CO22 chart, and that's where we get our courses and our course numbers, our PEAMS numbers, and that's how we get funding for courses and enrollment. When we decide what courses we're going to offer, we pull those in. And then we also make sure that there's appropriate course descriptions and all of the other information that goes with that. Once that is in Zello, then that is pushed out at the high school level. So you can see there the updates of those, and those will be an annual update. Every year we will go back and we will make sure those are updated, because there are times that we occasionally offer something new or we pull something. Maybe the enrollment's too low and we don't offer that. And so we do make changes, and we will make sure that we do those annually. Okay, the next one, point 4, was a scheduling process for 5-6, for 7-8, and 9-12 students that involves parents. It should include support beyond just one counselor. At a minimum, it'll be 2 counselors at 5-6 and 7-8. And then for PHS, it will be, moving to PHS, it will be no less than 5 counselors. So I'm going to take each one of these by grade level. And I'm going to try to not sound confusing, but we're talking about this year, we're still a 6, 7, 8 and a high school. But at the end of this year, when we are doing scheduling, which is what we're talking about here, the scheduling process, we will actually be scheduling for 4th and 5th graders to go up. And so, because they will become our 5th and 6th grade. And then we will actually be scheduling 6th and 7th graders to become 7th and 8th graders. So it's a little confusing. I actually had to talk through it with a couple of directors to make sure I was making sense when I was walking through it myself. So for the intermediate scheduling process, each elementary campus, in concert with the middle school, the current middle schools, will establish parent orientations during which all necessary information will be reviewed and parents will have an opportunity to ask questions or obtain additional assistance. So that will happen first. We will have the elementary schools, and right now this is total draft. What I'm about to tell you is draft form. We've had a few discussions, but we will give you detailed information in the coming weeks, months, I don't know. But right now it looks like this will be Coronado working with the 6 elementary schools, because Coronado will become our 5-6, our intermediate campus. So right now it looks like they will have meetings with each elementary campus, the parents of those. We're gonna have a large space, because the younger the kids are, the more parent usually response we have. And so to get every 5th and 6th grade parent in one place is going to be difficult. So it looks like we may try to pair them by their sister campuses. So as we're pairing campuses for the bond and the merge, we may pull those campuses. Even though they're not going to be affected by that merge, by these elementary school merges, we may pull, let's say, La Mesa and Hillcrest 5th and 6th grade, 4th and 5th grade parents for a meeting. And then a second night, we may pull Thunderbird and Highland. Does that make sense? Okay, so we would have 3 parent nights with 2 schools at each night for those meetings. We would do that first. Then we would have the middle school principal, counselor, and registrar will visit each elementary campus separately. So 6 visits, 1 to each elementary school, and they will present the course selection sheets. These have been presented at the parent night. So parents are familiar with what we are going to talk to their students about on that day. So we will talk to their students about the course selection sheet. Attached to that course selection sheet will be a parent letter reviewing information from the parent night that had happened previously. Those will then go home to the parents, and parents and students will make their course selections. Those will then come back to the elementary counselor and be turned in. And the elementary counselor will make sure those are forwarded to the Coronado counselor, which will become the intermediate counselor. That is how the process will work. If students at the elementary campus have not turned in a form, then the elementary counselor will call that parent. They will call the student in, they will call the parent, they will talk them through the process and let them know, hey, we're sending home another course selection sheet. And so we will do that until all of the forms have been turned in. This is not uncommon, what we do at middle school right now, but this is what we will make a concerted effort with the younger kids, because we're talking 4th graders. When typically we've done it with 5th graders moving to 6th grade, but we're talking 4th and 5th grade. So they will use social media, and middle school is really, really good about creating like screencastifies and videos to put on their webpage and to put out on social media, explaining exactly how to fill out a form, what you need to sign, who you need to bring it back to, all of that. So they will continue to do that as follow-up to this. Does that make sense? I feel like I just gave you a lot of words that may have been really confusing. Okay. Middle school scheduling process is very similar. Each campus will establish a parent orientation. Now what we will do this time is Coronado will establish an orientation, and Rachel from Estacado will be at the Coronado meeting because she is going to be their principal when they move to 7-8, because she's the principal at Coronado, at Estacado. So each campus in concert, not each campus, Estacado and Coronado will work together in order to have parent orientation night, okay? Because of the size of the classes, when the counselors see the students for pre-registration meetings, after the parent meetings have taken place, it'll take several days to do that. They will see between 100 to 150 students a day based on class enrollment, because they will push into classes to do that. And students will take those course sheets home at that time. There will be a call out. There will be social media, just reminders, your course selection sheet's coming home tonight. Parents and students will make their decisions. They will bring it back to their current counselor, so either Estacado or Coronado counselor. The Coronado counselor will transfer everything to Estacado. Estacado will keep hers, and that is how 7-8 will get their course selections put in. Again, they use a lot of social media, the same type of social media. Both current middle schools use the same type, the screencastifies and the videos to walk through processes and communication with their parents. High school scheduling process. This is where we see the biggest change. Students are going to review graduation planning as they currently do during their 8th grade careers class. So they have a careers investigation class right now, and they do skills inventory, they do personality profiles, they do all of those things within that class, and it kind of sets them up for their interests and their abilities and their skills, and it meshes those things to give them some idea of career opportunities. Not only is it career opportunity, but it also talks to them about training for that career. So it may be that maybe we have a CTE path for that, and that's also planning for their graduation plan, but it may be that it is really focusing on the idea of a certification of some type, high school or otherwise. Maybe it is a junior college, maybe it is military. I mean, it could be any type of training. It will match them up with that. It will also match them up with location and salary for where those things are. So we have a great program in place in our 8th grade careers class. We're actually working with those 8th grade teachers. Robin Straley's been working with them. And we're kind of making sure that we're really pushing some of those TEKs and getting those different TEKs out to those students and are covering those as they need to be covered. So between that class and the guidance lessons the counselors are giving in 8th grade, students will be reviewing graduation planning of what that looks like at high school, because that's a big step. Those of you that have high school students recently, since we've gone to the new graduation planning, it's a big thing to have an 8th grader decide what they want to do for the next 4 years of their life. It's a big deal. So they will be working on that throughout the year. Parent meeting will be held on February 22nd, and that is not new. We've had parent meetings. What we will be working on is ways to increase the attendance of that parent meeting. We don't always have a great turnout. So we are going to be doing a lot of reaching out to homes and to families. Besides just our social media and our call-outs, we are brainstorming and working with community to really try to get more people in for that meeting so that they as well, parents as well, will understand that graduation planning. Then parents are going to sign up for an appointment. This will be call-out, this will be email. They will have the opportunity to sign up for an appointment for a specific day and time. And they will come in with their student and meet with a counselor one-on-one. Every 8th grade parent in this district will meet one-on-one with a counselor, a high school counselor. Our hope is that they will meet with their counselor for the next year. That is our plan. So you can see up there, we have scheduled times from 8:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. on the days listed right below. So Coronado has February 24th, 25th, and 28th. This is of 2022. And Estacado has March 1st through 3rd. So from 8:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. on those days, there will be 20-minute slots for parents to sign up for an appointment. And we will also have their student with them. Via Skyward, we will check their schedules, we'll pull the students, get a pass to the student so they are there when their parent shows up and they're able to meet with them if it's during the school day. There will be 2 counselors working with parents directly, one-on-one. There will be 2 counselors working at the computers, and then we will have 1, maybe 2 counselors, because we may have both middle school counselors, there for questions, running different errands, running between the tables, that kind of thing. So the way, if you try to picture it in your mind, we have 2 counselors working with parents and explaining the graduation plan. What is it that your child is interested in? What have you decided from the previous meetings that we've had? These are the electives we offer. This is what the graduation plan looks like. This is what 4 years will look like if they go this route, really stepping it out with them. Once the parent and the student make a decision, then they will move to a computer table, and there will be a counselor there to help them enter those freshman year courses in the computer. But it will be the parent and the student doing that entering into the computer with the counselor there. So that is kind of the process. That's why we'll have counselors at the tables with the parents talking, and then counselors at the computers as well. And then that's also why we have extra counselors kind of running, because they may be answering questions, they may be grabbing paper from the printer. We will print out a copy for the parent, a copy for the counselor to keep. So we'll have extra people there, at least, right now, at least 6 counselors. We are training this year all counselors pre-K through 12 in graduation planning. We'll bring that plan to you a little later, but because of that, we can even call in elementary counselors to help with this. If our night time slots are really booked, we will have extra hands on duty to help with entering those schedules into the computer. We will have translation services available. Sarah Wallace will be at the high school, and then any of our EL support staff at the high school. Andrea Morales is one of our high school counselors, and then, of course, I know Mrs. Sanchez has staff at the high school that could also help with that, so we will have those available as well. So, totally different process than what we've had in past years. I think we are excited about that. We're excited about meeting one-on-one. It is a big undertaking because it is a lot of students to meet with one-on-one. But we understand the weight of that, and we understand the importance of getting it right from the beginning. And so we're excited about that change. So, lots of words, but I hope that that kind of explains it for you. Okay, topic number 5 is a process to ensure existing and new counseling faculty are made aware of these protocol with administrative follow-up, and then also to update and adjust the criteria at the conclusion of each year. So, I've just listed some things here that we have talked about. One of the things that's interesting about counselors is just a few years ago when I took this position, or when I was offered this position, is the first time we've had a district counselor and district support, or support at the district level for counselors. There's never been a director of counseling. Counselors were always under director of assessment, who was director of assessment and accountability and was not a counselor. And so to have a counselor at central office has been a huge support. And I speak boldly for the counselors, but it is every year there are thanks for that, and thanks for the opportunity to have that support here and to understand what a school counselor does and what TEA directs us to do. Because of that, this has been a work in progress, and working on our school counseling program in the district, we've made changes throughout the last several years, and Dr. Sanchez has commented to the counselors and commended them for the changes they've made the last couple of years. We've had several plans that we've worked through, and it's bit by bit. We're biting off pieces that we can do at a time and make sure that they're done really well in that moment. And this is an example of that. So new counselor training takes place at the beginning of each year during new staff orientation. At that time, for any new to district counselors, I will review these processes as well as expectations within our full counseling program. So including our guidance, our social emotional, all of those things. One of the things that's interesting about counselors, another thing that's interesting about counselors is that I'm the director of counselor, but they are actually evaluated by their campus principal. So if the campus principal and I don't work in concert with one another, then there's a gap there. So we've made sure that we have inserted some steps this year for that to happen, and we will calendar those out at the beginning of the year. We've done this, but we haven't made it purposeful and calendared from the beginning. So that's what we're going to do moving forward this year. Campus administration and the director of counseling will meet to review these processes, and this will take place when counselors come back at the end of July. That's when we will go over all of these things in detail so that from the beginning we know the expectation for this academic portion of our program. Meetings with campus counselors and principals and the director of counseling will be calendared quarterly. I will be doing that and getting those calendar invites sent out. Of course, Dr. Sanchez will be carbon copied on those, so he and Rosie are aware of when those will happen. During these meetings, we will be talking about upcoming activities and the communication that's going to take place about those activities with all involved stakeholders, so that we're sure everybody's on the same page, in the same moment, same time, same place. Same ideas. And then each year during our final counselor PLC, we participate in an after action review. That's something I've done since I've been in this position. We take all of the activities and all of the processes that we have implemented over the year, and we say, did it work and we're going to continue? Was it horrible and we're trashing it and bringing in something else? Or was it okay but we need to make some tweaks? And so we will continue to do that as well each year. So lots of information. I appreciate you guys being patient and letting me share it all with you. We are excited about the changes, and as Dr. Sanchez says, and as I've mentioned, we have more things coming in the coming months, and we're happy to be able to share those with you when we get those kind of finalized and set forth. So, any questions? Lots of information.
I just have something to say.
Yes.
Since I became a board member the first time before the second time, this is one of the things that I wanted to push for. And I am finally grateful that it's taking place. Because not only are we educating our students, we're also servicing them now. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're fully committed to this, and it's not just Robin and I who are committed to it. When we were reviewing everything that you've seen here, Mr. Reagan, Ms. Alcazar, and Ms. Long were in the room with us. And they were sitting there, they were talking through what it will look like on their campuses, how involved they're gonna be. I meet with the secondary principals once a month, all together. I meet with them once a week. I go to the campus and sit down with them. But during our once-a-month meeting, this will be work that we want to make sure is continuing. And so we know the direction we need to go, and our job is to make sure that the follow-through, when it comes to the parents being informed and getting the graduation plans right the first time, and making sure that no one's left out. I mean, that, we're real happy to have Ms. Wallace at the high school, you know, because when you're talking about artes del lenguaje and, you know, estudios sociales and all of that in Spanish, if you don't have the right terminology and ability to explain that, it makes no sense whatsoever. So we'll be happy to have that support, as well as some through language acquisition and all the training that we'll do prior to sitting down with parents to make sure that we're saying the same thing and that it's accurate. So again, thank you, Ms. Salazar, for all of the work, and the counseling team as well.
Robin, do y'all have a
Yes.
plan on, in a perfect world, we have parents show up with the kids at school and turn in their degree plans, or, you know, that y'all are making. Do y'all have a plan for those parents that you've set up all these appointments, you've sent the paperwork, they don't show up, they don't come, they don't answer your phone calls, they do not communicate with you, because their response, like my parents' response would have been, para eso son las consejeras, para que hagan eso. Which is, the counselors are there to do it for you. I don't know anything about that. And you'll have those parents that would do that. Do y'all have a plan for those parents that, it's not that they don't believe in their children, they just feel like they're not capable to do that plan with them, and they expect you to do it, so they don't communicate with you?
So let me make sure I understand your question. So if they don't want to have a part in it at all, I mean, as the school, we can't force them to have a part in it, but we want to make sure that we have done everything possible to communicate with them. So very likely, in cases like that, we would do some extra communication. We would probably have Andrea Morales, Sarah Wallace, school resource officer. I mean, we would visit the home, make sure they understand, like,
home visits.
what we're talking about, why is this important? Because they would be in 8th grade, we would probably have an 8th grade representative from that campus go, because that's who they're likely to be more familiar with. But we would make sure that we had someone there. You know, I know there's going to be parents, I mean, from all walks of life, who are going to feel that way because they don't have time, or their work schedule, or, you know, oh, they'll get it done, you know, or, well, I had an older student and everything went fine. We will do everything we can to make sure we've communicated, and we will document all of that. We will work, and those are things that typically, like, I would take, moving forward, I would take to our meetings that we have, our director meetings with Dr. Sanchez, and we would talk collectively about it, make sure that we have a good idea, and then in principal meetings, we could talk about that as well. Off the top of my head, or in immediate response to you, I can say we don't have anything drawn out on paper, but based on what we experienced last year, I know that home visits are going to be a first priority
And I guess
for
that's
things
my
like that.
concern, that it's not just going to be located in the district, because it's, I mean, not just making the appointments here, because you're going to have those parents that won't show up, but
Right.
to go out and do those home visits, kind of like
We
Dr.
do.
Sanchez invites us to go get those graduates
Mm-hmm.
to come in, and we go out and try to find them to bring them in so they can graduate.
Right.
Same thing for
Right.
our younger kids.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And when we have these meetings and when we have the opportunities to go out, you guys come. Like, we want you to be a part of what we are telling these families. We want you to hear the graduation plans. We want you to hear the information we're giving those families. We want you guys to be, you know, as knowledgeable as we want the parents to be. So please, and not that you're not already, but as changes come up with TEA, you guys come. Like, and if you have questions, go to the counselor suite, ask questions, call me. I'm happy to walk you through that. We want this to be general knowledge across the community. We want a good relationship with everyone in the community. That is, communication is like our priority this year, making sure that we have that out there. So,
And y'all know our claim to fame is we do go knock on doors. We did a lot of that during this COVID year, where we went out, we knocked on doors, we looked for kids multiple times, even at the end. Chief and the officers got in the vehicles, and during summer school, I know Chief and Ms. Sanchez were out looking for students still. that hadn't shown up to summer school but a few days, and the clock was ticking on them. So that is our claim to fame, and we'll continue to pursue that.
And I know our assistant principals and counselors did a lot of that
Yeah.
this year at the high school too, so I know, I mean, we're gonna have a great response to that, I think. So, great question.
Because the counselors and I, this year, we have been, because we do have a lot of parents that, well, they're kind of scared and they're kind of worried. So we have been speaking to the counselors, for instance, in the early college high school. We made a list and we noticed that some of our EL students that we really felt would benefit from that could do the work, but the parents they kind of had a different understanding of what it really was. So we have been going out and we do home visits, and we explain that to the parents. And a lot of times what we do is, like, if it's Anita's had that student in the classroom, then we look for individuals that have already built those relationships with those parents, so that they can either call with us or come with us to go out and explain what's going on. I know in terms of our ELs, and Ms. Tyree's been really good in terms of her special, well, also, is that we'll go out to the house. And now that we're building a lot of relationships with the parents, they've been very open to where we can sit down and we explain everything. This is why we're going. This year what we did is we brought in our 8th graders before they even did the high school orientation. And we had our ELs just in that small group. The counselors were there. We were able to explain that information to the students. We're working on explaining that information to the parents so that it's not so overwhelming, and that everybody has a really clear understanding. If your child chooses this trajectory, this is where they're going. The other thing that we did, of course, is with like our college visits, and that was also in collaboration with the counselors on which students may not have the transportation, but the parents are very interested in going. Now, we started with a very, very small group, but we are looking at branching out, and our departments have been working in that even if they're not an EL student, we still go out and do the visit. Because a lot of times it's just that, I think meeting them at the house, we've been getting, like, this week alone, we got 2 plans. I got a choco plan and everything. So just letting the families know that everybody's available, and then putting them in contact with who they can contact. And not only who they can contact, but if they're not able to speak the language, then we're also able to try to accommodate that the best possible. Right now in the district, we do have a family that speaks Chinese. We have 3 families that speak Vietnamese. We have a family that speaks Korean, and then the majority of our other family speaks Spanish. So, but we are trying to reach out, but I'm sorry. But I was like, I was like the kid in the back raising
No,
their hand.
please,
But I did want to let you know that we are doing the home visits, and Julio comes to protect us from the rabbit chihuahuas. But, I think it's all just on our outreach, and just in the presentation which she was doing, we've been making notes, and Paulina and I were already hammering out different things that we can do. But that'll be information that we'll also present to you once we collaborate with the other departments.
One of the exciting things we've also talked about with our non-traditional students, and you met some of the ones that came during the language acquisition presentation, and some of the young lady that will be at WT Azanet. So we're looking at those that are close enough by. If we can pick them up and bring them to help come and talk to some families as well, and reassure them that, I think Azanet learned English from her freshman year to her senior year, and now is in college, to reassure students and parents that they can be that successful, and that she's an example of that. So we're also looking to tap in some of our students on the shoulder to come and ease the concerns of some of the families that may not understand the pathway, and she and her family are able to articulate some of that. So perhaps even leaning on some of the families. So this opens the door. I think the biggest piece for us was realizing that our process was adequate, but we want to be better than adequate. We want to be exceptional. And as our district logo on the back of the room says, setting the standard in education. To set the standard in education, you do things that no one else is doing. And that's what we are in that continuous pursuit of excellence. And everything that Ms. Salazar has presented speaks to, all right, so how do you set the standard? If what you're doing is adequate, if everybody else in the region is doing that and it's adequate, what do we do that's beyond adequate to set the standard? So I hope in the things that you've seen, that's the work that we're committed to going forward, and we look forward to you guys getting some positive feedback, not just from us, but from community members, that the things that we talked about that we're gonna do, that they've been done and they've been successfully done. So,
Thank you. Everybody good? Okay, thank you, guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The next item, we have our business items. The first is a housekeeping item. It's consideration and approval revision of DMB local. It's a policy regarding principal evaluation, and it basically takes out vague language and language that doesn't fit with principal evaluation and puts into policy the Texas Principal Evaluation and Support System, known as TPES. They should have done a TPES, but anyway, it's our principal evaluation system, so in policy, we're just correcting language to be in line with TASB model policy. Really, again, it's housekeeping just to make sure that what we have in policy is what we're doing. We do use the TPES, we just didn't say it in policy, and it does need to line up. Practice and policy need to line up. So with that, I'd like to recommend consideration, approval, or revision DMB local policy to be in line with TASB model policy.
Board, any questions on this one? No questions, do I hear a motion?
I so move.
We have a motion by Ms. Amber, do I hear a second? We have a second by Ms. Rivera, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
The second item is consideration and approval of Plainview ISD Board of Trustee resolution regarding ESSER 3 funds allocated to PISD and policy CB local, state, and federal revenue sources. On April 28, 2021, the Texas Education Agency, TEA, notified Texas school districts of the opportunity to apply for their allocation of the elementary and secondary school emergency relief ESSER 3 American Rescue Plan, or ARP fund, which is intended to be used to respond to the nationwide pandemic and to address student learning loss as a result of COVID-19. Policy CB local will also change. Basically, if you go back into your packet and take a look at the resolution, what the resolution does, and I'll read it, it just is our public notification that we are accessing the ESSER 3 funds for the purpose of addressing the COVID gap. This will allow us to execute a lot of what the principals recommended. We brought in elementary, middle, high school principals and asked, all right, so if we draw down these funds, what will you use them for? So tutors, additional student support, class size reduction. There really wasn't a request for instructional materials because the board's been really good at providing instructional materials. I think that's the one place where they felt we had a whole lot already there. But it was really more people and time to work with smaller groups of students who need that help during the day or after school or sometimes occasionally on the weekends. So it's really looking at those areas. Also, if you'll remember, we had some long-term subs that were assigned to each campus year in and year out throughout the year. So we're looking at continuing that with no less than one, consistent tutor placed at each elementary, 2 at the middle, and perhaps 2 at the high school, and 1 at Ash. And so that those positions will be to ensure that if a teacher doesn't make it in, or if we need to pull small groups, that they're there every day, and they're not applying for a sub job, they just show up every day. If they need a sub, they can. If they don't need a sub, they work with students, but they're there every day. So we're looking at that as above and beyond. We referred to it as C-19 last year. We're not referring to it as C-19 since I guess it would be ESSER 3 funded people, which gets confusing. So we just, just campus support. So those are the areas that we're looking at. There may be other areas, but those were the ones that were at the top of the principal's list. They feel we have technology, we have iPads, we have devices, we have a literature adoption, we have curricula, we have training, we have coaches, we will have mentor teachers that we'll pay next year, but really and truly, that's what they were looking at was tutoring. So let me read the resolution. Whereas on April 28, 2021, the Texas Education Agency notified Texas school districts of the opportunity to apply for their allocation of the elementary and secondary school emergency relief ESSER 3 American Rescue Plan ARP fund, which is intended to be used to respond to the nationwide pandemic and to address student learning loss as a result of COVID-19. Whereas the TEA published Guidance regarding how these funds can be used and local compliance requirements school districts shall follow, including a recommendation that districts develop local board policy to address how districts will provide the required public notice regarding federal grants and awards consistency. Whereas Texas Education Code 11.151 gives the Board of Trustees the exclusive power and duty to govern and oversee the management of public school of the district, and whereas Board finds that a need exists to adjust local policy provisions to address public notice for the federal grants and awards and approval of required grant plans. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Plainview Independent School District adopts the following text for inclusion in CB local, state, and federal revenue sources. This will be what's in policy. The district shall provide public notice of federal grant application through an information item at a board meeting and by publishing information on the district website. The district shall make available opportunities for public input as required by law or the granting agency. Approval of required grant and award plans shall be made by the superintendent. The change to CB local is effective based on the adoption date of this resolution. Should you adopt this, it would be adopted this 17th day of June 2021 by Plainview ISD Board of Trustees, and we would need the board president and board secretary's signatures if approved. What this will allow us to do, we'll be able to access those resources. And this meeting and this agendized item serves as notice by CB local pre-approval that we intend to, like virtually every district in the state of Texas or nation that has been provided this opportunity, to accept the funds for the purpose of closing the COVID gap for students that came to us late in the year, or for those students that every student was shut out March, April, May a year ago. So this is for that purpose. So with that, I'd like to make a recommendation to flip over my agenda. I'd like to make a recommendation to approve the resolution.
Board, any questions? No questions. Do I hear a motion? We have a motion by Ms. Rivera. Do we have a second? We have a second by Ms. Ray. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Garcia, for all the work that you put in on getting all of that together. It has been fast, furious, and interesting. All right, item 3 we have is a consideration approval of contract-related fee report. This is a housekeeping piece, but as you can see, over this last year, with all of the contracts that we're a part of, even those that we have to pay to be members of, we've been able, through rebates or refunds, to recoup about $10,000 just by spending money. As I've said about Ms. Dunlap, she's the only person I know that can make money spending money. And she's really good at what she does. And I know she brings us some really interesting purchasing cooperatives from like all over the country, but she does it with intentionality. And so with that, you can see the different entities that we're members of in the fee report. And so with that, I'd like to ask for consideration and approval of contract-related fee report.
Board questions, comments? With none, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Bass. Do I hear a second?
I second.
We have a second by Ms. Salazar. In favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
All right, no tough questions for you tonight, Ms. Dunlap. So, all right. Item 4 is general pay increase proposal for returning staff for 21-22. To recognize the service and commitment of our returning staff to the students of our community and to address the significant rise in living costs, the administration proposes a general pay increase of $2,500 to all returning Plainview ISD teachers and the district librarian paid on the Plainview ISD teacher and librarian step schedule. This is a 5% increase as applied to the current PISD average teacher salary of $50,000. So in essence, step 0 will go up, I believe,
half, so 12, it will go up to 1250 of last year's step 0. And then step 1 will increase by 2,500 and so forth.
so if you're a returning teacher, you'll see a $2,500 increase. If you're a 0-year teacher just joining the district, then you'll see a $1,250 increase from what that would have paid the year before, had you been a zero-year teacher the year before. So this $2,500, this 5% increase, inflation is at, calculated currently roughly 4%. We wanted to be sure we were one better than inflation, so that's why we're proposing 5%. In the region so far, we've seen 2% by and large. One district a little south of us is doing 4%. At this point, we're the only one doing 5%. So we feel that our staff has earned that. Our staff has been on campus since day one. I mean, we're really appreciative of that, as well as those staff members that took on a dual assignment with providing the online instruction. Everyone was doing that at the beginning. So they've earned this and much more. But at minimum, we'd like to propose this 5% increase or $2,500 per step for returning staff. Along with this item, administration, custodial, maintenance, paraprofessional, professional, and support staff, general pay increase for all returning staff are proposed at 3% of the pay range midpoint for each of the job families in the corresponding pay plans, not playpens. So, in essence, we take the salary schedule, look at midpoint, multiply that times 3%. What that comes out to is what everyone gets added on to what they're currently making. So it's not 3% of what you're making. You could be making less than midpoint. So this actually benefits the majority of our employees. So if you're making less than midpoint, you get the 3% of midpoint added to what you're making, which then reestablishes what your daily rate would be if we divide out all the days by that increase. And this is for administration, custodial, maintenance, paraprofessional, professional, support staff. This does exclude the superintendent. So this is everyone else. Budget impact, approximately 1.3 million. Teachers and librarian, about 66% of this increase at about 855,000. And then all other staff, about 34% of the estimate, which is 445,000. So again, we're just real proud of this, and I appreciate Ms. Merrick putting in all of the time to redo the schedules, and then Ms. Chapa and her team working diligently to make sure that the proposal that we're making is something that the district can afford. So with that, it's a real positive thing. Super excited about it. I'd like to recommend general pay increase proposal for returning staff for 21-22.
Board, any questions, comments?
Again, thank you all for your work to make this work, and I definitely think our teachers deserve it and our administration. It was a tough year, and things are, like you said, inflation is going up, so I'm glad that we can do this. And then as you had said earlier when we visited about it, that puts us right in line with surrounding
It does.
areas.
It keeps us very competitive
keeps
with
us
our market.
competitive. Yeah, that's good.
Board, do I hear a motion?
I saw.
We have a motion by Ms. Rivera. Do I hear a second? We have a second by Ms. Ray. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
It's good stuff. All right, so we'll begin. That's good stuff. We'll begin advertising that 5% increase, and we'll publish the new salary schedule. It's probably ready to go. We just need to hit the magic button.
Yeah, the teacher information will go out at midnight tonight, and then all of the other information I will push out next week.
All right. Put Ivan to work too, so.
Okay.
So, and again, I appreciate Ms. Merrick's work on that. Many a Sunday, her vehicle was parked here along with a couple of other people in this building too. It's hard to get them out of here. That's why we had to shut it down to run them out. Otherwise, I don't think this building's ever shut down. Item 5 is employee health care insurance premiums for the 21-22 year. District contribution increase to reduce negative financial impact of employees. Since the inception of the state program in 2002, the districts are required to contribute $150 per month per employee to health care insurance premiums. Plainview ISD has steadily increased its contribution since 2002 to help offset health insurance premium increases, thereby reducing negative financial impact on our employees. On behalf of the administration, we propose a district contribution increase of $31 per month per employee electing health insurance coverage through Plainview ISD. As compared to 2021, the additional 31 per month will increase the total contribution per employee per month to 402. Now, remember, the state requires us to pitch in 150. We're pitching in 402. If you approve this, we're currently pitching in,
371.
yeah, 371. So we want to increase that to 402. So we're asking y'all's permission to increase the district share of what we pay so that the increase that the state put forward with the insurance premiums for this following year isn't passed on to the employees. The last thing we want to do is give a 5% raise and dislocate our shoulder, patting ourselves on the back, and then take it back because the health insurance cost has gone up. We don't set the health insurance plan. That's not something that we have purview over. The state does. But we can't just say, well, we gave you a raise, but the state took it back. That's not the right thing to do. Again, we've done a good job managing our finances, and we feel that it's the right thing to do, that we pick up that differential. The state of Texas hasn't increased its contribution of $75 since 2002, so we've had to pick it up. Maybe someday the state of Texas will. The one thing they have increased is the premium, but not the contribution. So therefore, we have to pick up the contribution if we're going to do our best to hold teachers harmless. Again, the last thing we want to recommend as an administration to the board is a raise, and then it all goes, half of it, in some of the plans, half of it will go away, and in some of them, almost all of it with the increase. So if approved, the 2021-22 monthly contribution by Plainview ISD will be 177 more than the required district monthly contribution of 150. Budget impacts approximately $504,000. Substitute date, oh, that's the next item. So again, it's roughly $216,000 is what we're looking at there. And again, budget capacity wise, it's something that we feel we have budget capacity to maintain over the next 3 years. And of course, in that next 3 years, the legislature will meet again and nobody knows what they'll do. But we do feel good that we can handle it for the next 2 years. Anytime the legislature meets, it's like how deer feel during hunting season. You just never know what's coming your way. And all you can do is run. So at least for the biennium, we're in good shape. So with that, I'd like to recommend employee health care insurance premiums for 21-22 as presented.
Board, any questions? No questions. Do I hear a motion?
I so move.
We have a motion by Ms. Salazar. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Ms. Bass. All in favor, raise your hands. Favor. 5-0, motion carries.
All right. Next, we have a substitute daily rate increase for 21-22. The last time we adjusted the teacher's aid rate was in 2001. The last time we adjusted teacher rate was 2010. And then the last time we adjusted the long-term rate was 2020. So the 2020 isn't too bad. 2001 and 2010 were a long time ago. So what we're proposing is teacher's aid at $65 a day, so that would be an increase. The teacher substitute rate would go to $80 a day if non-degreed, $90 a day if degreed, $100 a day if degreed and certified. Long-term sub-assignments would add $30 to any of those. So the 80 plus 30 would be the non-degreed, which would equate to our current long-term. 90 plus the 30 would be if degreed, and it'd be 130 if you're degreed and certified. So that would be what we would recommend there. So that is for substitute daily rate increase. So again, to keep our subs that live in our community from driving to neighboring districts, it just makes sense to pay a little better here to keep them here. So with that, I'd like to recommend the substitute daily rate increase for the 21-22 school year.
Comments or questions, board?
Do we still have a shortage of subs, or how are we doing on that?
You know, it seems like we do every year, more so last year. We pulled, some of our best subs always become our paraprofessionals. And then we had about 30 of those subs that became our C-19 support staff that reported to the same campus every week, every day of last school year. So, but we really held our own. One of the things that we did last year is that HR specialists did trainings pretty much every week for the fall semester, and then they did them about 2 or 3 times a month, January through about March. So that helped. We had some small groups at times, but it really did increase the interest in it, just because there was a continual training kind of orientation process for our subs. So we'll probably look at continuing to do that this year.
Any other questions? No questions? Do I hear a motion?
I move to adjust the substitute daily rate increase for 21-22.
We have a motion by Ms. Bass. Do I hear a second? We have a second by Ms. Ray. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Perfect, perfect. Hopefully that'll help us. Subs are always tough to come by. Next is supplemental duty stipend compensation schedule for 21-22 school year. The schedule remains the same with the addition of the mentor teacher. It's been, I believe, anywhere from 5 to 7 years ago was the last time that we paid a stipend for a mentor teacher. Being a mentor teacher and a good mentor teacher takes a lot of time, because first-year teachers need support. And what we're looking at is $1,000 stipend, $500 that would be paid in December, and then the other $500 in June. The mentor teacher, we've established a system where we have some training and support for the mentor teacher. Kind of, all right, in August, here's what you help your mentee with. In September, here's what you do. As you get close to 3-week reports, here's what you do. As you get to semester and the end of the year, this is what you do. This is how you open back up in January. Here's what you need to remember to reestablish with your rules, because kids have been at home for 2 weeks. All of that is what a mentor does. And so our directors, instructional directors, all got together. Yesenia and the elementary team kind of got together and took a look at approach elementary principals on what they wanted the mentoring program to look like. And then Robin worked with secondary principals, brought them in as well to take a look at what that mentoring program would look like. And then Brandy and Mary did with special pops. So we do have a mentoring approach that at the end of the year, we'd ask the mentee to evaluate how effective it was, to make adjustments, of course. So that's an addition to the stipend schedule. The other is translation services, and translation services would range from $750 to $1,000. What we would do is we would allow paraprofessional staff who are interested and believe that their Spanish is at the level of proficiency, or I guess Chinese and Korean as well. If their second language is at that level of proficiency, then they would be eligible for a $750 stipend. If it's good oral, if it's oral and written, then we would look at $1,000. So there would be a range. But of course, we'd want to establish a proficiency. It's not going to be good enough to come in and go, hey, I'm bilingual, and not be. We're gonna ask you some questions, things that a parent might call and ask. And then we're gonna give you some notices, things that a principal might say, I know it's last minute, but field day just got rained out. Can you translate this because we need to send a letter home? So there'll be some items like that. With y'all's approval, we'll put word out to our current paraprofessional staff that do have in their minds and in their skill set the ability they feel to translate to a different language. We'll set something up for them to come in and answer those questions, and then to do the writing sample. And then we'll either say you met it, or not quite there, probably shouldn't be translating. It's not a good idea. So we just want to be sure that the people we have translating are accurate in what they're conveying. Just because an angry parent with a bad translation might get angrier for the wrong reason. We just want to be sure it's an accurate translation. So with that, I'd like to recommend the supplemental duty stipend compensation schedule for 21-22 with those two additions.
Questions, board?
On the mentor teacher, would they, anybody would be able to apply that's, like a veteran, and then the principal would decide who the mentor teacher is?
The principal in concert with our instructional directors. So we just want to be sure that we're on the same page, because there are people that are, that a principal might think is a really good mentor, and scores are good, kids love the teacher, but they just don't want to mentor another teacher, or maybe that's not their thing. So anyone can approach the principal and say, you know what, if you need a mentor in math, I'm your person, or in English, I'm your person. And then the principal can take that list and take a look at who we have that's in that discipline. And then we'll look at that list with the principal to make sure that, yeah, we agree, that's a great person, that does a good job, real positive. We don't want to put a mentor that's like real close to retirement. It's like, thank God I'm hanging it up, man. I've had all I can handle to this stuff with a first-year teacher. So I want to be sure that we're on the same page, that the mentor is somebody that will lift them up, but anybody can.
Any other questions for?
Not that that would happen, but just never know.
No questions. Do I hear a motion? We have a motion by Ms. Rivera. Do I hear a second? We have a second by Ms. Ray. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
All right, we'll let principals know to begin getting lists of potential mentor teachers together. And there is some training that we'll provide as well. Then we have, let's see, that covers, yeah, we just have our business items under our consensus agenda, which are meeting minutes, our budget amendment number 5, and let's see, and that's it. So with that, I'd like to recommend the consensus agenda as presented.
Board, any questions on the agenda, consensus agenda? No questions. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Bass. Do I hear a second? We have a second by Ms. Rivera. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
All right, I hate to ask y'all this, but y'all hold me to this, about a 10-minute executive session on personnel. If it gets past 10 minutes, y'all can walk out. I'm okay with that. Very- Yeah, so,
Okay, going into closed session. Trustees will meet in closed session as permitted by the Texas Government Code, Section 551.001. Deliberation on the appointment, employment, compensation, evaluation, assignment, duties, discipline, dismissal of employees pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074, going in at 7:56.
all right. And we can just meet next door. All right, Yesenia and Katrina and Brandy. 10 minutes.
No, it's all, it's an agenda. But it's in consent and everything's in.
Okay, we are out of closed session at 8:35 and regular session.
It concludes the business of the district. I'm sorry, that was the longest 10 minutes. It was like a time warp. It's a multiverse. So,
Okay, is that it?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, this meeting is adjourned. We need signatures.
Yeah, we need signatures on the resolution. Let me get you out of that real quick. Otherwise, Rosie will beat me.
Yeah, she'll be calling me tomorrow.
She'll be calling me tomorrow going, hey, where are my